Come on up. All right, so next we're going to have a very special panel, and Vera is here to introduce them.
Hello again. I'm Vera Hutchison from the University of Houston, and I am delighted to have my colleagues present to you some of the best practices that we have for athletics at the University of Houston. So we have a group of faculty, the Senate President, and staff members who will share with you some of our ways we connect with faculty, athletics, and academics. So we hope that you enjoy this, and we'll have some questions that you have after this presentation.
Are you able to share your screen, folks?
No, I'm not. It says host is disabled.
Well, host will enable, because we certainly want you to share your screen. You got that, Jerry?
Let me go there.
Let's go.
Okay.
All right, we see you in your preview mode.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Can everybody hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Okay, thank you. So good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Knobloch. I'm the COIA representative for the University of Houston. And I want to first of all thank everybody, especially the COIA, for the invitation. I apologize for not being in person due to some medical issues in my family. Back when the COVID peak was hitting, I was really nervous about being able to make this trip. And so I thought it'd be easier just to plan. So every year the COIA allows a certain institution to highlight what they're doing in athletics, what's successful. And this year was the University of Houston's opportunity. So I was very excited. And I want to share a little bit about what we're doing, what our faculty is doing, what our administration is doing that's given us some success. So a little about me. Ironically, I am an athletic trainer, and so it seems we're very represented at this conference. So I was a college athlete. I worked in college athletics for 10 years full time before going back to school, and now I'm a faculty member. And so I feel I have a very broad experience in what goes into athletics being successful at an institution, because I've seen both sides. I've seen it from the athletic side. I've seen it from the faculty side and the administrative side. And what I can tell you in my own experience is when the doors are open, everybody sounds like they're very excited and everybody wants to work together. When the doors are closed, I've learned there's a little bit of friction that exists between athletics and academics. And so what I wanted to do was try and expose what the University of Houston's done and what I've done in my position as a COIA rep to help close that gap that seems to exist. And so when I was up for faculty senate and I was asked to put my name in for the COIA representative, I jumped at that chance. And so what I wanted to do was try and bridge that gap, as I mentioned. So some of the things I've done is I've offered to our faculty the opportunity to come on the football field with me and stand on the sidelines and experience the game from literally 10 feet away from the players. And the first one that accepted that was a faculty member along with our our faculty president. And he was very excited. He's been speaking about it nonstop, told me that he's talked to his family about it. I want to do the same with basketball. So I'm trying to invite faculty over to athletics so they can understand what athletics goes through. I've also wanting to bring the athletic department over to our faculty side and let them come into, for example, seeing a research study that they could directly be related to, maybe VO2 max and how wearing a mouth guard affects VO2 max, for example, so that they can understand what we're doing that may go into helping them be more successful on the athletic field. And so today, what I'm going to give you the opportunity to do is hear from some of our representatives, from a faculty member, the FAR, Faculty Senate President at the University of Houston, so they can talk about a little bit on how they've helped to facilitate a successful athletic program without losing their identity in athletics, or excuse me, in academics. So just a little bit about the University of Houston itself. We're our enrollment is very high, 47,000. The majority of our students, or excuse me, the largest college we have is College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. I myself am in Health and Human Performance, about 80% undergrad and predominantly full-time students, obviously, and we're a little bit higher in gender in terms of in female. So we're very diverse. We're very proud of that. We emphasize that in things like recruiting around the city, that we're one of the most diverse universities that exist out there. Predominantly Hispanic is our highest population. First generation students are almost 50%. So we have the diversity playing a role in that as well. And then you can see our student credit hours as well, predominantly in the senior class member area. So when it comes to success, I cannot speak highly enough of our president. And if you have a president who understands the importance of athletics in an academic institution, I think that it is extremely beneficial for the entire university, just the overall mindset at the university. Everyone is excited to see our president, and the mindset and the vision she has for it, and athletics is absolutely a part of that. If you've ever met our president, she's very personable. It's actually fun to watch her at athletic events. She is kind of a rock star on campus. She always wears red, one of our school colors. And if you've ever watched her around a football stadium, the students will gravitate towards her just to get their selfie with her. She can walk around the track, around the outside of the football playing field, and students will literally scream at her more than they'll be screaming on the field. So Dr. Couture has been with us since 2008. She's our president and our chancellor. She's been very instrumental in several of our successes, which include achieving an R1 status as a university. In terms of athletics itself, we just have joined or will be joining the Big 12. She oversaw the renovation of our football stadium, which was actually placed in the same footprint as our old stadium. So we had to find a new place to play. She was very instrumental in that. And we just finished renovating our basketball arena as well. So she's very excited to talk about athletics at our university. And that's fun to see versus somebody who says athletics should be a separate part of an institution. She understands that everything works together. So we have a lot of academic successes at our university here in Houston as well. A lot of top rankings within the individual departments, but what I really want to highlight are some of our athletic successes. So I was a student, doctoral student here from 2005 to 2011. I saw our former president leave, Dr. Gog, and then Dr. Couture came in from University of South Florida, where she was provost. Just this was her first time serving as a president. And again, it's been overwhelming, the amount of change, positive change that she's made, which has turned into athletic successes for us. So, for example, 700% or 70% winning percentage in football. If you exclude the COVID year, that's actually about 75%. We went to the Final Four last year. We've had 6 straight years of at least 4 Conference USA championships. We've had 19 All-Americans, 3 American Athletic Conference Coach of the Year or Coaching Staffs of the Year, and 117 basketball wins in the last 3 years, which is the second most in the country behind Gonzaga. And so all of these successes that we have would not be possible without a strong strong administrative support. So on the side of the student athlete success, we just turned in one of our highest ever GPAs, a 3.4 overall GPA in the spring 2021 semester. All sports at the university, all 17 sports, posted above a 3.0 for the entire 2021 academic year, which was largely the COVID year. And then we had 114 student athletes earn the Dean's List honor of a GPA above 3.5. So we're very excited about that. Obviously, student athlete success is a priority, but wins on the field do translate over to success at the university as well. So today I wanted to have our speakers talk a little bit about how they balance successful academics, but also understanding the importance of academics and how we don't allow one to take over for the other at a major institution. So we'll have a few speakers here, our faculty senate president, we'll have our faculty athletic representative, we'll have our athletic advisory committee chair will speak to us, I have a representation from the faculty themselves, as well as from academic services. And then I also brought in our sports medicine associate athletic director, who can talk about how some of his challenges that he saw during COVID and how he's maintained success for that. So with that, I'll start our individual videos here and let you learn a little bit about our program.
Hello and greetings. My name is Bharat Damas and I'm professor and chair of Vision Sciences.
Share your audio. We can't hear it. There is no audio. Yes. Correct.
No audio?
We heard a little bit in the beginning and then nothing. So when you share screen,
Okay.
there's a place to by your mute button, there should be a place to share audio. Or you could try a different one of the videos.
Did that help at all? Okay.
A little bit.
Let me stop this share and let me try doing just the video. I apologize.
No, I'll call our IT folks and they will come help us.
When you're sharing your screen, there's a box at the bottom when you're selecting that will say share audio to. That should share your the video audio, not just your microphone.
Let me try doing this. I'll share the individual video.
That's not working either.
That's not working? All right.
No, it's very distant.
Okay. I'm going to share screen, share sound. There it is. Okay. I think that will fix it. Let me go back to the original. Kelly, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear? Because I hear it's very loud on mine when I start this here.
Secretary and 2 members at large form the executive. Hello and greetings. My name is Bharat Das and I'm professor and chair of Vision Sciences within the College of Optometry. I'm also currently serving as the president of the Faculty Senate of the University of Houston. Just by way of introduction, the Faculty Senate at UH has about 147 senators representing 18 colleges and the libraries and approximately 8% of the full-time faculty of the University of Houston. Our Senate is organized into 7 major committees who function in an advisory capacity to various units of central administration. The chairs of the Senate committees, Senate President, President-elect, Secretary, and 2 members at large form the Executive Committee of the Senate, whose main function is to serve as the main channel of communication between senior central administration and the faculty in the spirit of shared governance. So before I go any further, let me first thank Mark Knobloch, our COIA representative, and Vera Hutchinson, who was a COIA representative last year and is now serving in an executive capacity at COIA, for inviting me to say a few words via this recording. They asked me to talk about UH faculty perceptions about athletics and how the UH Faculty Senate might play a role on advancing the cause of or bridging the divide, depending on one's perspective, between athletics and academics and the athletic department and the faculty, etc. So let me first begin by noting that UH faculty are first and foremost fans, much like the general public, right? So they will cheer and get behind a winning team or criticize the coach on a loss. You would probably find more than a few faculty yelling at their TVs, expressing their joy, frustration, elation, or disappointment, depending on the outcome of the game. The proverbial water cooler talk on a Monday is likely about the Cougs. our faculty can armchair quarterback along with the best of them and discuss recruiting needs if need be for the next season. So I would presume that this is generally true of faculty in most institutions. And so if there's a perception of faculty among students and the athletic department that faculty at dorks that don't care about athletics. So that is a fundamental misconception we must try to dispel. So when the Cougs have achieved success on the athletic front, such as we have in recent years in the big sports of men's football and basketball, faculty have been just as caught up in the excitement and fervor of the winning season. So just last year, I got a chance to stand on the sidelines of a UH football game. And it was one of the most exciting events I ever participated in. With the Cougs ranked number 6 in the nation in men's basketball at the time that I'm doing this recording, I'm very much looking forward to an exciting March Madness season. Now, coming to the role of the Faculty Senate and a Faculty Senate leader such as myself, I would say that there are multiple angles to consider when it comes to athletics. The Senate is, of course, an important channel of communication between central administration and faculty, and issues surrounding athletics, no exception. Right, so at each of the monthly Senate meetings, our President Couture, makes it a point to convey her energy and enthusiasm over the successes of various athletic teams in the university. We also usually invite the athletic director to at least one of the meetings of the Senate to provide their update. I remember just a few years ago, then coach of the men's football team, Tom Herman, brought many key members of the team to the meeting. And the students received a standing ovation for their successes on the field. Yeah, I can truly say that this was a moment enjoyed by all, right? So faculty was seeing students who brought fame and honor to the university, and the students were excited seeing their teachers appreciating them for their efforts. This, I would say, is also part of our educational responsibility, is to recognize them when they do something great. However, in the spirit of shared governance, the Faculty Senate also has a responsibility to ask the president and others some important questions. For example, we ask about the athletics budget and the justification of institutional support towards the said budget, and what might be short and long-term plans in terms of evaluating such an investment. We want to see that there is a balance maintained towards investments made in academics and research and in athletics, understanding that the primary missions of our university are teaching and research. In recent years, the goal of UH was to gain membership into one of the Power 5 conferences, and there's of course much excitement that this is actually materialized. So some of the recent investments are perhaps validated. A question that we have asked our president, and in turn the president has publicly asked different units, is to evaluate how does Big 12 membership actually help that unit? For example, how might it help the university forward our academic and research missions? Clearly there are intangible benefits, widespread name recognition, greater donor and alumni engagement, etc. Right, so the greater the transparency and communication surrounding some of these topics, the more likely there is to be buy-in from the larger UH faculty community. Right, the Senate plays a critical role in facilitating such discussions, and we take our responsibility seriously in these regards. So there's much positivity and energy in the campus around the Big 12 entry, and I think everyone here at UH faculty and Faculty Senate included are quite keen to see how things might evolve over the next few years. Well, let me end this little monologue by once again thanking Mark and Vera for the invite and all of you for your attention. In my opinion, avenues such as the COIA conference allows for the useful exchange of information about how different universities view the athletics programs and how faculty and Faculty Senate might exert influence within the framework of shared governance again. I look forward to hearing back from our UH representatives about what they learned at the conference and what we are doing well and where we might get better. Thank you all again, and goodbye.
Hi, and thanks for letting me join you in this important conversation. My name is Kathy Horn, and I am a professor and chair of the Department of Educational Leadership and Policy Studies at the University of Houston. In the context of this conference, I have privilege and excitement to join you in my role as the faculty representative to the NCAA for the university. I really appreciate Mark extending the invitation to be in this discussion, and I'm excited to hear what comes from it, because this is certainly an important group of people, I think, who are meaningfully and deeply considering what it is to be in support of student athletes and their success. Mark posed a couple of really good questions, and I'm going to work through them and offer just a brief perspective on some of the core conditions and areas of focus that we really are foregrounding at the University of Houston. So the first question is around how a successful athletics program is viewed from a faculty standpoint. Certainly this group has deep knowledge base on that question, and I think I will add to it from the vantage point of a faculty member and the FAR. One of the things that I think about is the fact that really for us, for me as a faculty member, this idea of a successful athletics program really comes down to the idea of how successful are our student athletes. Obviously, the athletic focus gives them expectations and opportunities on the field to demonstrate talent and evidence from the hard work that they're doing every day in training and in execution of their special skills and talents. I think that same context and just set of conditions exists for me and for us as faculty in thinking about success of the student in the way that they are engaging both in the classroom and outside the classroom. That really helps create a whole college and a whole student experience. So much of that, I think, is really captured in the opportunities students have to learn, to engage, to bring their unique strengths, perspectives, and skills to the learning environment. I think it also is indicative of a successful athletics program when we see our student athletes bringing those same skills, talents, and perspectives to a broader set of co-curricular opportunities that exist outside of the athletic experience alone. It's great when we have our students who are involved in other clubs, organizations, opportunities like internships that really let them be active in their contribution to the learning community, and also preparing themselves for these important spaces that they will be in after they graduate. You know, we spend a lot of time appropriately and meaningfully paying attention to our students' academic success, their retention, their time to degree. I think one of the things for me personally in thinking about a successful athletics program from a faculty perspective is really that idea that the walking across the stage with degree in hand is simply the beginning of what we should consider a reflection of our collective success. For me, a benchmark that remains salient for an institution who is living out its whole mission through its various parts is that have we created a group of graduates who are going into their respective communities, into their respective professions, and being change agents in ways that continue to align with those mission, vision, and values that we worked to engage them in as their time in students was with us. The next question is around observations that I've made as the faculty representative that really reflect what the University of Houston has done to invest in athletic success without compromising in academic success at the same time. And I think there are a couple that I will name with the footnote that there are many more that exist around these. So the first thing that I would draw attention to is the fact that our athletics department, from the athletic director permeated through the entire staff, really is committed to the whole student athlete. This is, I think, a really commonly articulated perspective in principle, but not always in practice for institutions, as athletic departments face the real challenges and realities of the constraints and expectations put on them with respect to performance on the field. one of the things that I really value about the University of Houston is that there is a very clear behavioral set of activities that reflect this in complement and concurrent expectation that students need to be their best selves on and off the field. I think that messaging around an equal prioritization and even a disproportionate prioritization that tips the scale towards academics is a really important contributor to the success that the university has in cultivating a student athlete who is a whole student. I think the other part of that, though, that's equally important is the idea that setting those expectations in both arenas high is important. It's necessary, but it's insufficient to really ensure that success. There also has to be this concomitant investment in provision of resources that allow for that outcome to be possible. So the institution has done, I think, an amazing job through our president and our provost in particular's investment in all students and their success. We've seen, I think, just incredible and meaningful attention to the kinds of macro and micro resources that have been difference making in students' ability to come in and thrive, including academic supports, social and emotional supports, community building supports. All of those aspects that we know from a research base really make a difference in how students will come in and be likely to succeed. Similarly, the athletics department itself has also been intentional about its investment on the student success side of the ledger in the student and athlete success. That looks like probably what many of your campuses are doing in terms of investing in key and meaningful academic supports, investing in having access for students in real time and meaningful ways to counseling services, to services that acknowledge that some of our student athletes are experiencing housing insecurity, food insecurity, challenges outside of the institutional context that have real and meaningful impact on their ability to be fully present. I think that one of the things I'm very proud about related to our institution is that we have not shied away from the idea that our students are coming in looking, experiencing, engaging in ways that all students and so many of our students nationally are coming in to the institutional context, and that is not in what I think historically we would have conceptualized as a traditional student way. So we, I think, name, value, and engage in the provision of resources that both understand students and their strengths that they bring in from the various contexts in which they are coming, and then pair those with these other spaces that help shore up challenges that they may be facing, and also build on opportunities that they have already created for themselves and that their families and communities have created for them as well, to end up in a student athlete experience that's a sum greater than its parts. The only other thing, then the last question was anything else that I'd want to say, and I think the one space that I would like to touch on very briefly is the in complement role that several folks on our campus are playing, and our efforts to try to intersect those roles. So Mark, as you know, is our COIA rep. I serve as our rep to the NCAA, and then we also have an athletic advisory committee on the campus that serves, again, a particular set of roles in ensuring that our students who are also athletes have the kinds of experiences they deserve to have. One of the things that has been really nice in this current configuration of folks in those roles is that we have begun to intentionally put our heads together and think about the ways that our different spaces might be more collaborative, might be more in support of the other, that again really benefits student athletes in increasingly positive ways. So we are still a work in progress in that, and would love feedback on others who have had success in that kind of cross-pollinated endeavor. It's something we feel really strongly about, and I think hope bears much fruit, again, both for the institution and being able to provide the strongest support, the strongest advice, the strongest critical friend lens on what's happening in athletics and its relationship to what's happening in the larger institutional enterprise. But also, and again, most importantly, on behalf of our students, because we really, at the end of the day, share this deep and profound commitment through our mission that every student should be able to come in and have an opportunity to thrive. Looking forward to the conversation. Again, appreciate Mark's invitation to be part of it. And I can't wait to hear what wisdom you are ready to share. Thanks.
Greetings from Texas. My name is Casey Solari Williams. I am a clinical associate professor of health sciences and education at the University of Houston, and I am pleased to serve this year as the chair of the U of H Athletics Advisory Committee. Our committee serves to meet a requirement by the NCAA, but we strive to do more than check a box. I believe every member of our committee has a vested interest in the success of our athletics department, especially the success of our student athletes in their respective sports and fields of study. Our committee members all agree to serve and fulfill the overall purpose of the committee, advising the university president and athletic director to ensure compliance, right? But our conversations with the athletic staff, remembers to prioritize the ABCs, academics, budget, and compliance. And we also spend time inquiring specifically about our shared interest in advocacy for student athlete success and experience at U of H. We serve with compassion, empathy, and support for the student athletes. As the chair, I have 3 major goals for this year. First is to increase visibility of our committee to the student athletes so they are all aware that there are representatives from the faculty and staff dedicated to understanding the unique perspectives of student athletes and supporting U of H athletics as they strive to meet and exceed goals and objectives. My second goal is to streamline the exit interview process in such a way that student athletes embrace the process as part of their total experience at U of H. From beginning, throughout, and at the end, it will be evident that they are supported and their voices, thoughts, and opinions are heard and valued. A good number already know this. My hope is for this to be a universal understanding across all sports. My third major goal is to activate the committee members as advocates for UH athletics in their university colleges and or divisions. While we as committee members are poised to understand some of the intricate details that go into maintaining successful and compliant athletic programs, not all of our colleagues can say the same. And in some cases, this puts added pressure or burdens on student athletes and the staff. From the perspective of a faculty member, when our university culture includes successful sports teams, a supportive fan base from students, staff, faculty, alumni, and the community, we all benefit. The university community is lifted up when the teams win. The student athletes and athletic staff feel the love when fans show support, and that's motivation to keep striving for success. The campus climate is energized, and that energy carries over into other parts of campus life. At U of H, there's a culture of pride that we are all tasked with sharing throughout the institution, or with anyone we come in contact with, for that matter. One of the many sayings we have at U of H is, "We are the pride," as a play on the pride or pack that cougars in the wild belong to for life. We say Yeah, we are the pride, and we can say it in lecture halls, right? And we can say it in the student centers or around the campus, but it comes alive and is seen in action during athletic events. Those are the times we are the pride and a collective, gathered with a shared goal of winning for the team and for anyone with a connection to the University of Houston. That's what successful and supported athletics programs can do for an entire university community, help to instill the pride. So I encourage all of you to go back to your university with this in mind. The ABCs, academics, budget, and compliance is the business we take care of and what we must do. But beyond having basic needs met in those areas, we have to remember the people of the university supporting one another is the why behind what we do. Again, when athletics is supported and successful, the entire university community benefits from the exposure, the revenue, and frankly, the pure joy that comes with it. Thank you for inviting me to present today. Thanks again to Mark for coordinating the presentations, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your time together. Be well and go Cougs.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Dave Walsh here at the University of Houston. I am a clinical associate professor and internship coordinator as well as the program director for our sport and fitness administration program within our health and human performance department. And I was asked by Dr. Knobloch to just give a little take on what it means for athletics for faculty. So I can speak for myself, but I can also speak for a lot of the faculty that I've interacted with over my last 8 years here at the University of Houston. I was also the chair of the Athletic Advisory Committee for half of my time here, and then I was also had the pleasure of working for President Couture for a year as the interim faculty athletic rep. And what I can tell you, what athletics means to me is an extension of the community. So many times that I've interacted with other faculty, this idea of sense of community, a sense of belonging, surrounds kind of our discussions on athletics. And also with alumni, University of Houston is big. We have nearly 50,000 students at any given point, and over the years our alumni base is enormous. And what I definitely gathered when we went to the Final Four, and when our football team does well, and when our women's swimming and diving teams continue to bring home the hardware, the sense is, hey, it's a sense of pride. They come out of the woodwork, so to speak, and wear their jerseys and wear their red on Fridays, a little bit more, not just Fridays, throughout the week. And then I see myself in our classrooms, talking a little bit more about the games that happen perhaps over the weekend or across the semester. And so that's number one, a sense of community, a sense of belonging here at the university that surrounds our athletic program. I also, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, a source of pride as well. And so, I've had the pleasure of talking with a lot of different people, and one of them is our president. And one thing that always stuck with me is in her and I conversations is how we can best display all of the attributes that the University of Houston has at our disposal, and perhaps using athletics on a national scale, share our story. And so we can share the pride of not only athletics winning or just doing great things on the field and off the field, but it also allows us to put a spotlight on some of the other great things that we're doing here on campus, like our College of Medicine, or all the new buildings that keep popping up and the renovations here on campus that we like to see and when we're walking around. So there, you get to share that with not only students, current faculty in our discussions in the lunchroom or the water cooler, but also with alumni. That has been just a great interaction, at least in my experiences. And then, finally, it's kind of a source of growth as you see the athletic department and our athletic teams, women, men, football, basketball, swimming, diving, track. The list goes on, and I'm probably missing a few. Women's volleyball has been fantastic for us, and men's baseball, the list goes on. But when you see the new buildings popping up and you see student athletes not only having an advantage in the weight room, but you see a new academic program facility popping up just for our student athletes, that rubs off on everything else that we're doing on campus. That it's this source of growth, that we're in a developmental period here, a positive developmental period here at the University of Houston. And that makes me as a faculty member want to do my part. It inspires me to go every single day to deliver my best lecture I've ever had, or to interact with that one student athlete or any students on campus to say, what are we doing for the university to support not only just President Couture's vision, but our AD, Chris Pesman's vision, and all the great faculty that are doing their great job, whether that's in the College of Engineering, to College of Technology, to College of Architecture, and so on and so forth. What can I do to, I guess, fall in line, right, of being a great, I guess, ambassador of our university? What can I control in my little sphere here that I can contribute positively to our growth? So those were a few things that I feel comfortable talking, at least for myself, but I've gotten those from my years of just interacting with my fellow faculty members, and those three things seem to keep popping up: is the sense of community and sense of belonging, a sense of pride, and then also this sense of being a part of something special, like growing and developing and positively impacting not only our community here at the University of Houston, but in the city of Houston and hopefully nationally. That's our goal. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight of what a faculty member might take on athletics, and hopefully that might be common for some of your experiences as well. Well, have a great rest of your day, and thanks for including me. Hi, everyone.
My name is Kellen Wilson. I am the Associate Athletics Director for Academic Services at the University of Houston. I arrived here at U of H in January 2021. Prior to that, I had a time at Penn State where I was Associate Director for Academics there. I oversaw our educational courses, about 9 of those. And then prior to that, I also worked at the University of Louisville, and then also worked at Eastern
There's
Michigan
a lot of music in the background.
University, as well as St. Louis University. So I've had a wealth of experience in academics.
Sorry, I think that's part of their video.
Okay. Just want to make sure
I'm
it's
really
supposed to be
happy
there.
to be here at the University of Houston to really support this transition, obviously, into the Big 12, which is very exciting, and to use my experiences to support that. Upon my arrival at U of H, I have been very clear on the direction that I want academics to go. I want it to be a world-class experience for our student athletes, an experience that's going to lead them beyond graduation. You know, we don't want to just look for graduation. We want to look for opportunities to support them for their plan B. You know, I support every student athlete that wants to play professional, but it's our jobs to make sure that we help students plan a plan B. So plan Bs can be, you know, graduate school, it can be getting a job, it can be getting internships, it can be, you know, taking the GMAT and us paying for those, you know, those testing services or whatever it might be. And so, you know, my staff is very much aware of this. We are looking for students to thrive and not just survive. We are asking students to choose majors that they are interested in. that they want to do, and it's our jobs to make sure that it fits with their their athletic schedules and responsibilities. And so for us, it is about the student athlete. We are student athlete based. It is about what they want, and our job is to make sure we see that through. Just a few areas of pride. I would say within this last semester, we had 214 students on an academic honor roll, which is obviously 3.0 and above. We had 100 students that were on the university's Dean's List, which is a 3.5 and above. And then we had 14 students who earned a perfect 4.0 GPA. And so these are great numbers. Obviously, for me, I want it to be better. I want, more than half of our student athlete population on the Dean's List. I want a quarter of our student athletes on, the academic honor roll. But this is a good starting point, particularly given the impact of COVID. And, we all are aware that the impact that COVID had. And so for us, we're just taking small victories in this first semester back to school. So COVID across educational institutions, not necessarily just U of H, has really impacted the learning of students. And so we're talking about students who are entering college without the adequate math skills, the adequate writing skills. We are talking about students who haven't been in a classroom for the last 2 years. And so when we're talking about a return to class, we have had to deal with students understanding what a classroom looks like, how to take notes in a classroom, what are the expectations from a teacher within that classroom. And part of the issue, and it's not to anybody's fault, is, yes, students were in a pandemic, but the teachers were in a pandemic as well, right? And so teachers might have been having to deal with family that were sick. Teachers had to deal with maybe having kids at home, and their kids are also doing virtual learning. And so that entire time of COVID across institutions, across educational levels has been difficult. And so my guess is that we're going to see this impact for a few years to come. And hopefully we put the support services in there where we're allowed to, not necessarily allowed to, but we help students move up, increase skill, and really get them on the path pre-COVID wise when it comes to learning and academics. Some goals for our department is very clear. Obviously, is to keep progressing forward, keep increasing services. Obviously, tutoring and mentoring and learning specialist support is going to be vital to what we do. And so increasing that academic support, increasing our advising support and direction that we give to our student athletes, and making sure that the advisors are well equipped with the information and knowledge to support our student athletes. And so, making sure our advisors get to professional development opportunities and conventions such as this one, making sure that we collaborate with different units within athletics, but then also outside of athletics. The thing is, with academics, we are a part of everything that happens here. And so, with our development office, I've been working with our development officer to ensure that we're supporting their communication with donors and people on the outside in our community to tell the student athlete story. We have opportunities to involve different groups of people, but it's just on academics, particularly in that realm, to make sure that we're providing that information. I want us to make sure that we are at a higher level celebrating academic successes. And so anything from, obviously GPAs and honor rolls, but seeing it at a game, hearing it at a game, seeing our student athletes at dinners where they are being rewarded for their academic support, and really elevating those celebrations the same way that we do in athletics, right? And so making sure we have that there, and working with different entities on campus to make sure that we are providing services that are adequate. If we need to reevaluate and implement new programs, we can. Working with student athlete welfare and development is another, because we all know we have to consider the whole student. And so if students have obstacles in front of them when it comes to family life, personal life, if we can't help them fix that, then academics is surely going to be impacted. And so working with that unit to make sure that they are utilizing the personal workshops, utilizing the career workshops, utilizing mental health services that we have here. And so it just allows us to work with different groups, different stakeholders, to ensure that we are adequately supporting our student athletes. just want to thank the Commission on Intercollegiate Athletics for this opportunity to talk academics and to really represent the University of Houston athletics. And, obviously we are here, we are moving into this Big 12, we are excited. And for us, we are really happy to be here, and thank you, and go Cougs.
It is a great pleasure that I get to speak with you guys today. I am John Houston. I'm the Associate Athletic Director, Director of Sports Medicine here at the University of Houston. And the first thing that I wanted to talk about with our staff is how we've grown over the years. It all started with, I got here 25 years ago, started under Mike O'Shea. Mike O'Shea did a great job of establishing a tremendous foundation for our staff here. We started out, we had only 3 athletic trainers. Back when I started in 1997, we had 4 graduate assistants. And so we've just evolved over time. University of Houston has shown great growth during that time frame. As a university, getting to Tier 1, and also in our sports medicine area, we've added some teams, and that has helped us add some staff. But just seeing and looking into the future, Mike looking into the future of where we needed to go. I had the great fortune of being able to take over for Mike when he retired a few years ago, and we had built our staff more and more. We had built it to about 9 staff people, and we had 5 graduate assistants. Something else that has helped us is the ever-changing world of education in athletic training. So athletic training curriculums were moving away from undergraduate programs and moving into graduate programs. So what we were going to see, and everybody across the country is going to see, is that you're moving away from the graduate assistants and you're moving into needing more full-times. They're going to move away from the undergraduates, so they're all going to be graduates at this point. Your student athletic trainers will move into graduate level. So every administration that we've had here has seen the need for that for us, and that's really helped us. We look at a coverage care model, and that we can have a team that's covered, but is the level of care where it needs to be? And in today's world, you need not only coverage, but you need the level of care to be extremely high as well. So currently today, like I say, we were at 9 staff people and moved to 11 now, but we had 5 graduate assistants. Now we have 11 full-time staff, and we have 1 GA, and we have 1 year-long intern. So that was where we were at. That's where we currently are, and then where we're going to go. So we have another layer that we want to add to that in the future. And the layer that we're going to add to that is that graduate assistant will elevate to a full-time. The year-long intern will eventually elevate to a full-time. And then our hopes are is to add 1 more full-time to that. So you can see where we started years ago, the level that we got to as far as full-time staffs and graduate assistants. We moved that up to a level that we're having all full-time to help cover or help manage that coverage care model. So not only having teams covered, but we wanted to elevate the level of care. And our administration, sports medicine area, are definitely getting there with adding more and more full-time athletic trainers in that area. Athletic trainers are unique in the things that, all the different things that we can do. Before I talk more about that, I want to just talk about our what really adds to our sports medicine team is our team physicians. So living in the city of Houston, you have access to the best healthcare in the country, and we have the best physicians that you can possibly have. Then their outreach to some of the best in more specialties around the country. People come to Houston to get healthcare. And so we're fortunate we have it right here in our backyard. And we just have some unbelievably dedicated team physicians. And Dr. Shoup and Dr. Lee, Dr. Gregory, Dr. Wynn, Dr. Greaser, just to name a few that clinic here with us on a daily basis, spend unbelievable amounts of time here in our training room, clinicking here on campus. And we also have PTs. We have physical therapists. We partnered with Memorial Hermann. The physicians are from Memorial Hermann. Our PTs are from Memorial Hermann. They started a residency program. In the last year, we started a year-long total immersion PT fellowship. and that has just been outstanding. The young gentleman that's with us this year, Connor, has stepped in, and he's just one of us. But he's here every single day. So you can see where we started. Back in 1997, we had 3 staff and we had 4 graduate assistants. Now we're up to 11 staff. We've got 1 GA, 1 intern that we hope to turn into 3 full-times over the next 2 to 3 years. And then just with our teen physicians and our physical therapist, we have an outstanding student-athlete healthcare system. That all starts with, at the beginning of the year, I related to our 5 domains of athletic training earlier, the different things that athletic trainers do. Starts all with prevention, injury and illness, wellness prevention. We start with our physicals the first of the year. We get them through that. And then, of course, when injuries do occur, we assess, we diagnose, we put them in the best position to get better. There are some emergency care things that that we handle and we take care of. And then we put them in the best position to get better. We take them through treatment and rehab to get them back out to safely return to play as soon as possible. But having access to the best healthcare system in the country is a great advantage for us as a sports medicine athletic training team, and having our physicians right there for us. And then so many other specialties that come out of that. With the pandemic coming about, that just added another thing that sports medicine and athletic trainers needed to do. And our athletic trainers are outstanding, totally outstanding. The way they've been able to step up, the way they've been able to adapt, that's a whole nother job. There's spreadsheets, there's keeping track, there's testing, surveillance testing. Once someone's positive, now we have to do the follow-up on that. And we're following up the health care on that student athlete and how that goes out to contact tracing and all the number of different things to add on what we were already doing. And every one of our staff, both last year, we've had a big turnover in staff. Those staff members just stepped to the plate and took care of it. It was something that we needed to do, so we did. Now moving into this year, doing the same thing. It's kind of become the norm. We'd like to move away from a pandemic, but we'll do that when the time comes. But our healthcare system, our healthcare sports medicine team has done an outstanding job with doing that. The last thing I want to mention about staffing in our program is our master's degree in athletic training. We have an unbelievable, it's in our 8th year, I believe it is, of the master's degree in athletic training. We have unbelievable director and 3 staff people over there, Josh Yellen, Mark Knobloch, Lacey Harrison. They do an unbelievable job of putting great quality students with us to help us do our day-to-day. Plus, we're there for them to create a great educational atmosphere. Basically, the athletic training room becomes a classroom for them. So it works hand in hand, and they do a great job of keeping us up to date on what's going on the educational side, what's going on the professional side. So one of the last domains we have is healthcare administration and professional development, and they do an outstanding job of keeping us in line and the things that we need to do to take care of these student athletes and stay in line with the American Medical Association and the KD, and which is the educational foundation for our program. So with that being said, I really appreciate you guys letting me speak with you today. The University of Houston, as you know, moving into the Big 12, that's exciting for us. In healthcare, we're just going to move right along with that. I think that's going to really help us in some areas being in the Big 12. But our athletic training program, our sports medicine program with our team physicians, our athletic trainers, is moving up that way regardless of the conference that we're in. We're going to continue to keep track and keep up with what's going on in healthcare, and we're looking forward to the future. Thank you. It is great.
So that actually concludes the presentation. So one of the things I told all of our speakers was to talk about what, excuse me, some of these COIA reps could take back to their respective faculty senates. And I hope I gave you some ideas of what we're doing that may translate over to what you can do better or do to make your relationship with athletics more successful. So I apologize, we went a little bit over on time. So maybe to save some time, if anybody has any questions, they could type them into the chat and I can answer them individually. Otherwise, again, thanks for your time, and I'm going to turn it back over to our hosts, and hopefully I'll see you all next year.
Does anyone have questions? That was a lovely compilation, and I love the spirit, the dedication to the school, the dedication to the health of the athletes. Questions? Yes.
How many athletes do you have at the University of Houston?
How many total athletes do you have?
I want to say 450 if I remember right, but don't quote me on that.
450 without a quote. All right, and a thank you from Mike Bowen. Any other questions? Yes, Andrew.
I'm wondering what some of the challenges you see.
So what are some of your challenges moving from the current conference into the Big 12 and all the changes that are going on there?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And one of them is funding, because there's going to be more expenses. One of the things that moving into the Big 12 is hopefully we get more revenue share from, for example, advancing further into the tournament. So facilities is going to be a challenge. I mean, if you can think of a challenge, that's probably something we're up against, because we've been in the American Athletic Conference, for example. I want to say our stadium holds 55,000. So adequate facilities in men's and women's basketball, in football. But when you look at, you have to look at other sports with facilities, but funding is going to be a huge aspect. And so hopefully that helps us out with recruiting. I'm talking here to, some of you are in obviously the Big 12 and the Big 10 and these larger conferences. That's going to be a change for us, because we've always been in a smaller, quote unquote, non-Power 5 conference. So there's an immense amount, and I'm probably not even the best person to talk to about that, because I don't have the inside details on a lot of what's required for funding and staffing and things like that. But there are a lot of challenges. But honestly, I mean, this is I believe our third time trying to get into the Big 12, if not for sure our second time, and we were turned down. And there was overwhelming disappointment when we didn't get in. The faculty wants in, the students definitely want in, and obviously our administration wants in. So there is a lot of excitement that we're finally moving in, but at the same time, when we get in, there's a little bit of what do we do now? Because now we have to meet all these challenges. And so there is a lot of challenges. And so it's a great question that again, there's a lot of answers to that I probably don't even not privy to a lot of the details in that. So
We have another question that I could ask the entire group. Do you have a recommendation for a good place to start when dealing with an anti-athletics faculty?
Yeah, another good question. And I hinted at this in the intro to my presentation on purpose, because there's the other side of that, which is an anti-academic coaching staff. How do you deal with that? Because, I can tell you, coaches, when the doors are closed, they do things like they complain about faculty having classes in the middle of the afternoon because that interferes with their practice schedules. Another one was, I'm angry to say this, but it's what us as faculty have to realize is I've literally seen student athletes being told to switch their major because their classes interfere with athletics, and it's frustrating. So how do you deal with anti-athletic faculty? I think that the selling point is you have to see athletics as your window to the community. So they don't really know what I'll give our example. They don't know what UH chemistry is doing. They're not, that's not a common, thing they talk about, but they do know what the football team and the basketball team and for some of the soccer team are doing. And that should be a point of pride for you. You want your athletics to be important. Where I see a lot of the challenges for faculty that aren't associated with athletics is funding. And the simple thing is, I'm getting grants for $100,000. Why is our coach getting paid $3 million? And I can't answer that. That's something that goes back to the individual institution. How does your faculty senate kind of handle that? And that's why I specifically asked our faculty senate president, you're in a kind of a major role there. And in our faculty senate meetings, we get a lot of questions about athletics, team GPA. The other side of it is, I can tell you this, that when a member of the student body gets a DWI, it's not in the news. When a member of the football team gets a DWI or gets something out there, and I don't want to give examples, but it could be
COVID.
So many things. That's in the news, and it's unfortunate that it happens, but it's also unfortunate that they're singling out an individual like that. Whereas in many cases, I've read that the studies that show that in many cases, student athletes have lower percentage of offenses than the general student body. And so, that's not mentioned though. You always see football player gets arrested for DWI. That's the simple one. Gets into a fight or gets assault charges charged against them. So I don't have an easy answer of how to deal with anti-athletic faculty. But that was the question that I wanted to present to the presenters today, was what is working for us here at University of Houston? Because we have a lot of pride in our athletics. When Tom Herman was here, he was our football coach for 3 years. The excitement that he brought to the campus was unbelievable. And I can give a really quick, short example. I actually walked out on the football field with my 5-year-old daughter because I wanted to check on our students who were doing their clinicals at the football practice. And my daughter kind of wandered around, and all of a sudden this guy comes running over to her. And I thought, my gosh, I'm going to get my butt chewed here because there's a kid on the practice field. It was our head football coach, Tom Herman, ran over specifically to teach my daughter how to do the Go Cougs sign. And so he was literally standing at practice, ran over. And so I don't know how many of you could say that about your head football coach, because I was terrified for a moment, saw what he was doing, and then he took a picture with her and we posted on our athletics page. So just understanding the value that a good athletics program can have. Now, I will also say there are bad athletics programs where there's a lot of trouble, where there's things happening that you don't want out, where maybe funding is, coaches go over budget, so they take funding from somebody that's not gone over budget to pay off that coach. That happens. And that's more for a question for administration, how to handle it. But we're very proud of our athletics success that's really happened recently. I go back to Dr. Couture, our president, for her commitment to athletics without losing focus towards academics. And I think that just builds pride within the university. She has what's called Cougar Red Fridays. If she sees you without a red shirt on, she will, when she's walking around, she'll walk up to you and give you a red shirt. She wants to build that pride. And that's obviously university pride, but a lot of it is spurred from athletics itself.
Well, that kind of leads into the next question. Is your athletic department self-sufficient, or do they rely on academic funds from the university?
I believe in Texas, funds cannot be used from the state towards athletics, so we have to be self-sufficient. And our Kathy, if you want to quote me on that, because I don't want to say that's how it used to be. I'm not sure if that's still exactly the same. It used to be self-sufficient from university, but not relying on state funds. And so I believe we're self-sufficient, but don't quote me on that, because I don't want to give you the wrong information.
Yeah, I'll hop in to say we do, depending on the intent of the question, there is what we would refer to as subsidy from the university around the academic support of student athletes. Mark is right, I believe, in that athletics itself is an auxiliary unit, and so it has to be self-sustaining in its function. There is investment that the university makes in the academic side of the house for student athletes, and there is some, I would say, integration in the way that athletics tries to ensure that students understand their full palette of resources. So, for example, our counseling and psychological services is a space where our student athletes have some specific support that's made additionally available to them through funding that's coming from the athletics department, they also have access to the resources that every other student on our campus does with respect to the various opportunities that one could engage in CAPS as one space.
Great. And we have another question here. Go ahead.
I want to bring back something that I'm really intrigued by the athletic advisory committee. Is there any advice you can have sellers for the
Okay, we have a big fan of the athletic advisory committee here who would like to sell it to his administration and would like your advice on how to phrase it, structure it, sell it.
Yeah, so what I would recommend is that you're giving, the Athletic Advisory Committee is a representation of athletics, and that collectively works to benefit the student athlete. So we have, on ours, we have academics, we have athletics administration, our athletic director is often in on the meetings, even if briefly, to give a report. We have a faculty athletic representative. And so the purpose of it is to benefit the student athlete by giving everybody a voice so that, for example, athletics alone is not just doing whatever they want, and then these changes are happening in athletics. So that might impact athletics, for example. What are the COVID recommendations, et cetera. So I wish I could give you a template that we could say, take this and say this, but what you're doing is you're trying to give representation from different departments to benefit the student athlete. So, faculty members on there, faculty athletic representative who talks about compliance and deals with compliance. And we have our compliance director in our meeting. We have the academics advising, et cetera. So I think it's a very, very beneficial committee. It's not one of those committees that just meets to figure out when the next meeting is. We actually talk about some very powerful discussions in that time frame. And Casey Williams, who was on this talk, she's such an amazing personality in their meetings, and everybody's engaged with her, and she really makes the meetings fun to be at. But we have a lot of good talks about what's going on. Everybody's aware. I can take it back to the faculty and say, this is some changes that are going on in athletics. And what do you all think about that? And if there is an issue, let's bring it back to the AAC, the Athletic Advisory Committee, and let's have a discussion so that we can get some input on that. So I'm glad to hear that there's support for that, because the end goal is to make sure the student athletes are taken care of. This isn't just for us to, faculty sent to be nosy. Not that we just want to know what's going on. We want to make sure that changes are being made to benefit the student athlete in terms of academics and practice and travel schedules and things like that.
And Catherine adds that having this established as as a standing university committee is really helpful. It gives it a sustainability that is different from a more ad hoc committee. So maybe we can connect you up and get more ideas for you. Yeah. Vera? Oh. Is there a student athlete on that committee?
There's not a student athlete, but we've invited student athletes at different times, if I remember right. I've started obviously in September as the COIA rep, and so because the COIA meetings often happen at the same time as our faculty senate meetings, I've missed a couple, but I don't believe we've invited coaches, we've invited student athletes, but I don't believe there's a full-time position for a student athlete.
There's not, and that's been a conversation, sorry, right on cue, dogs. There's been a conversation about the value of that on balance with the trade-off of the fact that the membership of that committee is a power differential, and that there are other ways to get student perspective that are more effective.
So I would like to add to the conversation, having been on the committee for several years, the idea is that athletes usually come to the meetings and will answer questions, and also coaches will come. Usually there is one coach at each meeting and an athlete is invited. The other thing is that